Composite Gloves here, and this is the 36th video in the Kontakt from the Ground Up tutorial series. And today we're going to be talking about the delay effect. Woo! And this is actually a pretty fundamental piece of knowledge just for sound design all around. We're going to talk about some of that, but it should be a pretty fast one. So I have our flute opened that we actually made. I just selected it earlier in this series, and I just dropped the delay effect on there. So if we bypass it, again, I'm just going to stop saying this. Maybe I'll keep saying it as just a joke, but you have presets and users you can save and bypass and woo. Okay, so last time we added reverb, and we haven't talked about that yet, but we will. But delay is kind of a fundamental thing. A lot of effects use delay and feedback combinations. So we're looking at delay alone right now. So if we play our note without it, and then if we add delay to it, you get that back and forth. That's what you expect. Like you're yelling in the Grand Canyon, or maybe that's too big, I don't know. You're yelling in some echoey place and you expect to hear, echoes. But delay is a lot more than that. If we increase a delay to under 20 milliseconds, you cannot perceive it from the original tone. You can hear room sound as we get closer to 20 and approach 20. You might be able to pull it apart. I don't know. And weird things happen when you move this while playing your sound. But we have our wet dry over here as before. This is the dry signal coming out. This is the process signal. And we can adjust the volume. So if we could just make it just wet signal, you can hear it still as if it was the original almost. But it's got sort of a room sound because it's been delayed. So it's refracted sound, or it's been set through an algorithm. So by adding things down here, you can actually introduce room sound. But once you start getting up into the 25-30 range, you start to get sort of the reverby, like you're in a small room sound. And as you start moving up past 50, you can clearly hear individual notes being reverbed back and forth. So that is what this does. So, yeah, you can play around with this all day. So what dampening does is on each progressive, so this is essentially a high-pass filter. So if we were to add an EQ, blah, 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 and we were to go like this, on our first delay, that it would only cut off maybe this amount of high stuff. But on our second delay, it would cut more. And our third delay, more. And our fifth delay, so the more delays, the more high-pass gets applied. So if we turn our delay off, that's what it sounds like. Turn it on. Turn our dampening off, turn it back on. You can hear the dampening begin to take effect. And I have the feedback and turned up a lot to make it easier to hear. This panning, what this does is you hear it right now ping-ponging back and forth from the left speaker to the right speaker. Unless you're listening to this in mono, which if you're a sound designer, you should probably get better speakers or put your headphones on or something when you're working with sound. But hey, maybe you're just watching this on your phone or something. So if we turn our pan off, it'll be now mono. And you can introduce stereo as you turn the panning up until it goes back and forth between your left and right. This is called ping pong. But now if we have our dampening, so if we turn that off, you could totally hear it. So that is pretty cool. And then the feedback is how loud these things go. So essentially how long it takes for them to go away. Because basically what you're doing is you're cloning the original note and feedbacking it in at the interval it says. And so not even delays. Delay is essentially the way you introduce feedback. And then like flangers and phasers. Well, not phasers. Unless you're using the fruity flanger. The fruity phaser. Go watch my FL12 series on effects. I'm not done with it, but I've got quite a few up there that talk about this concept already. So, anyways, that's what this is. It's pretty much everything. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments. If you have any knowledge, drop those in the comments. Subscribe because you're a beautiful person and you want to share your beautifulness with others. And have a blessed day.